anyway, if you can, go ahead and lay down on your mat, and I'm going to put, um, you may want to still have a little more bend in the legs, but I'm going to take my left foot and straighten it and press it into the chest over here, or you can use a wall. So if you have a wall, you can place your left foot there, and it's always a good idea to bend the leg a little bit and come and then really press the leg long so that you can really, the shoulder blades can roll under. So essentially, I'll show that again. You bend the leg, you come in closer, and then you straighten the leg. And often that just gives a little bit more power in the leg. I mean, like I really feel the connection between my feet and the surface I'm pressing. And the nice thing about doing this is that it's the one time that the toes won't grip. So I'm going to take the belt and bend the knee, and I'm going to straighten my leg. But if you need to bring the leg down quite low, that's okay. I have a belt. You can use a towel. You can also hold the hands behind the leg if you don't have a belt. I personally like the belt on the ball of my feet. Some people with hyperextended knees do better with the belt on the heel, because then if the belt is on the foot, they might go into that. But since hyperextending my knees is not an issue, so we will just have a few breaths here to get that hamstring. And because it's morning for you, Richard, I think that there's a little bit less opening in the leg when it's really early in the morning. If it's later in the day, you might be able to open the back of the leg more. And I particularly like to have my arms long, and so the elbows face each other. And then I'm actually getting more engagement in the arms and more muscle action through the biceps. So the biceps come back into the shoulders, and then the tricep lengthen into the elbow. So just hanging here is a nice little slow opening. And then you can take the belt into the right hand and bring the left arm out to the side. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can just open the leg to the side, bend the elbow, bring the leg open. Now you don't want to be rolling over so you lose that left hip into the floor. You can actually take your your left hand and place it on the hip, and then you can bring the leg out to the side and have the arm straight, or like I said, the elbow down. And then you can bring the leg a little bit lower, away from the shoulder, and that usually brings it closer to the floor. And then you can bring it up higher towards the shoulder, and that usually brings it up off the floor, unless of course you have 180-degree turnout. And then inhale that leg up, and then just bend the knee and hold the foot. So I've got the left hand around the right ankle, and then place your forearm behind your head. Now, if you don't have the belt, you can just hold the leg like this, or you can put one hand here. So since I have the belt, I can just rest my head in that forearm and get a nice outer hip stretch here, outer thigh stretch. And then if you can, really straighten that leg up, lift the forehead towards the shin, and then exhale the torso down. Take the belt off and bring that leg down. And then again, bend the knees and bring both feet into whatever you're pressing the feet in. And that rolls the shoulder down. And then you can bend the left leg up, find the belt or the towel, or you can just hold the leg behind the thigh, behind the calf muscle. And again, if you don't have hyperextended knees, the belt can go on the foot. If you have hyperextended knees, it's good to put it on the heel. But it's not a good idea to put it in the instep. So if you've done the opposite leg, do the opposite leg. I'm on the second leg now. And we're just giving it time to open the back of the knee, back of the thigh. And you know, you can spend time here really engaging the biceps into the shoulders, and then the triceps move towards the elbows. And then again, you can hold the belt with the left hand. Right arm can come out, or right hand can come right on the outer hip here to stabilize your pelvis so you don't drag your pelvis over, that you keep the leg here. And then you can bring the foot low and it goes lower to the ground. And then you can pull the leg up towards the shoulder, or you can bend at the elbow and just rest the forearm on the ground. So everything's legitimate. It just depends on where you are today in your practice. Woo. And then inhale the leg up. And this is where you change hands with the belt. Or if you don't have the belt, you just place your, the left hand is still holding the belt, right hand comes on the ankle, and I just put my head on the forearm. Now you can just hold the head like this and hold the ankle, or since I have the belt, I can use that around the ankle, because you know the full position is when you put it around you, you bring the leg over your head. But right now, my body can't do that, and I'm sure many bodies can't either. But the belt gives you access to similar. And then slowly straighten that leg again. You can bring the forehead towards the shin. And then you can release the foot down. And then just come on your mat with the knees bent, feet on the floor. And then bring the palms either next to you, or you can interlock the fingers under the head. And then bend the knees into the chest, extend up. So the legs should be nice and open now. So it might make this pose pretty fluid. And of course, you can make it more intense if you want, with the arms overhead, or less intense with the palms next to you. So whatever works for you today. And then do 2 more like this. And then bring the feet down, and you can bring the arms down. So for the next one, we're gonna do the one with sort of the hip opener. So I'm gonna place my hands under my head, but you can leave them down here as well. So I'm going to take the right ankle and cross it over the left leg. And I'm going to do 4 where I just lift the thigh towards the chest. Exhale down. Inhale, I lift the thigh towards the chest. I'm trying to bring that shin towards the chest, but keeping the knee away from the shoulder. And exhale down. So your range of motion could be smaller, or maybe you have more hip flexibility and you can bring it closer. And then I'm trying not to lose count. We'll do it 4 times this way. Maybe I've already done it more than 4 times. And then the second layer of this is bringing the leg in, then extending the left leg. So that gives a little bit more stretch, then bending at the knee, foot on the floor. So we'll do it 4 times this way. Inhale, thigh towards the chest, extend through the heel, exhale, down, inhale, extend the leg, exhale, down. 1 more this way. Inhale, extend, exhale, down. And then we'll do 4 with a straight leg. So we're going to bring in the straight leg. Now we're going to exhale, hovering, inhale up. Now you can also just do a smaller range of movement if that works better for you. If you want more range of movement, hover the heel down, inhale up, and exhale, inhale up, exhale, inhale up, and then just bend at the knee, put the foot on the floor and put the right foot on the floor. And then change legs, so that's the left ankle on the thigh. And we'll do 4 of each of those. So the first one is just bringing that shin towards the chest. Exhale down. Inhale the shin towards the chest. Exhale down. Inhale the chin towards the chest. I was going to say the chin towards the chest. Chin and shin, they rhyme. Exhale down. Inhale, bringing the shin in. Exhale down. 1 more like this. Inhale. Exhale down. Now we'll go to the second stage. And of course, if you're struggling, you can always go back to the first stage. Inhale, extend the leg, bend the leg, exhale down. Inhale, bring the shin towards the chest, extend the leg, exhale down. Inhale, shin towards the chest, extend the leg, exhale down, and 1 more. Inhale, shin towards the chest, extend the leg, exhale down. And then the final sequence is extending the leg up, then exhale, hovering, inhale up, exhale, hovering, inhale up, exhale, hover the heel, inhale up, 1 more, exhale, hover the heel, inhale up, and then just bend that leg down, both feet on the floor. And you can press the feet up and just shake out the pelvis, just in case there's any tension there. And then just roll over to your side and come up, tuck the toes under, and walk the hands forward so you can leave the sit bones up, dropping the head down. Getting a little stretch in the shoulders. And then inhale, coming into all fours. And then tucking the toes under, come into a downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. And then come back down to big toes together, knees wide. Really extend through those sit bones. Starting to warm up, connecting the spine to the legs, to the arms. And again, inhale, coming up to all fours. Tuck the toes under. Downward facing dog. Really lift the front thighs. And then again, bring the knees down into big toes together, knees wide. And then inhale, come up. Tuck the toes under to downward facing dog. And this time, walk the hands towards the feet. If you can still keep the legs straight, just hang over a few breaths into Uttanasana. Standing forward bend. Really engaging the legs. You can shake out the head, yes, no. And then either you can bend the knees and roll up your spine. If you have no problems in the backs of the legs, you can hold the elbows and slowly come up to standing. And then release the arms out. And come to standing in the middle of your mat. We'll do some balancing poses. The first one we'll do is we'll come into tree pose. I guess I could do mirror image just to make it easier. You can stand on the right foot, bring the left foot up. And then hands can come into prayer position and really engage those abdominals. Hooking the tailbone underneath it. And if you're feeling stable, you can bring the arms overhead. And then release the arms and the foot down. Coming back into a wide Tadasana with the feet underneath the hips. I think that just gives a bit more stability. And then standing on the left foot, bringing the right foot up. Toes are pointing down. The foot can be much lower. You just don't want it in the inner knee. It can be on the calf if it needs to be. And then hands into prayer. And then they can come overhead if you're feeling stable. And exhale the arms down and the foot down. Now, for the next pose, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can use a belt, or you can just hold the big toe. And even if you can't bring it all the way forward, you could just stand here and practice stabilizing the bottom leg using the abdominals. or if you want to use the belt or the towel, or, so there's 3 ways. You can also hold under the thigh and extend it forward. So wherever you are today, so with the belt, you put it on the ball of the foot and straighten it in front of you. And then bend the knee in, place the foot on the floor. And then again to the second side, you can stand on the left foot, bring the right foot up. And again, you can hold the big toe, stay here. You can hold under the thigh. You can use the belt. So whichever is going to work for you today. It helps to have the same hand on the hip. So the left hand on the left hip. And then just straighten that leg in front of you. And then bend that knee in, place the foot on the floor, and a couple of breaths in Tadasana. So we're now going to do similar pose to the side, and then we'll add those 2 together. So for the next one, again, you can use the hand, the belt, or hold the big toe, and we're going to just bring the leg out to the side. And with the belt, it's just bringing it out here. Try to keep the hips even and not be lifting the hip up. And then bend it in, place the foot on the floor. We'll do the same thing to the left side. And again, you can hold the thigh and do it that way. You can use a towel, you can use a belt, or hold the big toe, and we'll go out to the side. And one side might feel so much more stable than the other. And then bend the leg and come back in. Now we're going to put those 2 poses together. So you know that you can simply just put the hand under the thigh, bring it forward to the side, back to the front, bend down, or you can go for broke with the belt, or you can try to hold the big toe. So with the big toe, I'll see if I can extend that leg forward, a couple of breaths, then out to the side, couple of breaths, then bring it back and bend it in. So we won't hold it too long, but with the belt, you know, you might feel comfortable. When I used to teach in a studio that had windows where we could put our heel up on the wall, it was really on the windowsill. That was really nice to play with, because then we could find our stability really easily. So on the second side, bring the hand on the hip, extend it forward, open to the side, and then extend it forward and bend it back in. I know that's a little bit complicated. So I'm leading up to this other pose that comes from Ashtanga practice that I used to do years and years ago, but I'm going to give a couple of modifications. So I don't even remember what the pose is called. So the full pose is bringing a leg up into half lotus pose, and then the hand wraps around. I'm not even going to do that part, wrapping the hand around. But if you can't do this, go back to tree, and you can have the foot quite low.
because what I want us to do is bring the hands on the hip and see if we can come forward. So if you have the foot up here, you can bring the hands down and just stand in a forward bend pose, getting more stretch in the hip. If you've got, that's the fuller pose. If you need to keep the foot down here or here, you just slowly bring the hands down and stay here in like tree pose. I know that's a little bit of a more complex pose. So whichever side you choose, do what you can. And since I've showed you a few ways, you can do that side, and then we'll change sides. And inevitably, one hip is going to be more challenged than the other. I mean, one way to do this is just, if you can hold the foot like this, is you just hold the foot, you start coming forward, then you bring the hands down and really lengthen the head down. Another variation would be having blocks so that you could put your hands down on the block. So I know this is a little bit more complicated and you might need to be more open to do it, so you could skip it all together. And then bring the feet back and come into Tadasana. Couple of breaths. Hopefully the hips feel nice and open. And then we'll bring the hands in front of the chest and jump wide. And we'll come into triangle pose, and I'll do mirror image. So take the left foot toe to heel, right foot heel to toe. And you may want to really inch the feet away from each other and then really extend that right arm, finding the thigh or the shin and the top arm up. Really engage those abdominals. And if you want to turn from the base of the spine to look at the top hand, you can. And then inhale, slowly come up. Bring the feet parallel. And then take that right foot toe to heel, left foot heel to toe. And then really reach, reach, reach. Find the thigh or the shin, top arm up. And if you want to really engage those abdominals and then turn up to look at the top hand. And then inhale, slowly come up, feet wide, arms out, and then either inch them closer or you can jump back into Tadasana. And then we're going to come down to sitting, and here's where you can sit on a cushion or a block or a blanket, or two blankets. So we're going to come into Dandasana, so staff pose. So if you need a little height because you're leaning back, you would want to put something underneath. And it is nice, I have to admit, to sit on a blanket. So I'm just going to sit on the blanket for, just some demonstration. So bring the palms down next to you on the blanket. See if you can really feel that lift in the spine. And we're going to do easy cross legs. So we'll bend the knees here. You'll thread the left shin behind the right shin. And this is also where you might need more height. Like if your knees are really high, then that's where you would want extra height under your sitting. So you can use cushions as well. So what we're trying to do is either bring the knees in line with the hips or the knees lower than the hips. So that's kind of the rule of thumb in it. And then you're trying to keep some flexion in the feet so that you're not sickling the ankles. Sickling the ankles means you're kind of turning them in. Because anytime we practice yoga, what we're trying to do is develop habits that will help us, help us with walking, help us with lengthen the spine so that we're not, rolling the shoulders forward. So we're trying to keep, mobility in our body, stability in our body, both mobility and stability. So bringing the hands on the thighs, then you can start to walk them forward. And you don't have to go very far. This is also a useful place where blocks are helpful sometimes. So it just depends on your hips and your hips today. So one day they might feel open, the next day they might not. And then slowly walk the hands back and bring the knees up. Extend the legs back into Dandasana. Hands next to you. Really opening the legs back up, really getting that lift through the spine. And then the second side, you bend the knees and you thread the right shin, behind the left, and flex those feet so you're not sickling the ankles. And again, if you need more height under your sit bones, have more height. And then the hands come on the thighs just to give it some weight. This is where those sandbags are really nice. You could put the sandbag right here, or you could put two sandbags right here. It just is a nice feeling of weight. And then you can start to walk the hands forward. Couple of breaths here. And slowly walk the hands up, bend the knees up, stretch the legs out. And then we're gonna do janu sirasanna, head to knee pose. So with a blanket, I have to sort of put it on a diagonal so that I come into Dandasana and then I bring that right leg back and I'm trying to get the shin on the floor. Now you can also put a cushion under the thigh if your hips aren't that open, or a block. So there's lots of ways you can support this pose. And then if you have the belt, great. If you don't, you can always bring the hands out on the outside of the leg with the belt. You can bring the belt around the ball of the foot and then bring those abdominals towards that thigh. And then you want to inhale, look up, trying to bring that thoracic in towards the chest. And then exhale, lengthen the forehead towards the shin. Even though it's called head to knee pose, we're really trying to bring the forehead to the shin. And then just see if you can really soften that skin on your forehead, just to give you that restfulness, even if you can't get the shin on the forehead, or shin on the forehead. The forehead on the shin. inhale, slowly come up. Straighten out that right leg. You can alter your blanket or whatever you're sitting on so you give space for that left leg to come back. But you want to do dandasana between the poses, and then bend that left leg back. And again, we're trying to get that shin to the floor. We're not trying to tuck the foot under the thigh either. And we're actually trying to pivot those abdominals towards the thigh so that both sides are equal length. And then you can, again, just keep your hands here if that works, and then you can just soften the forehead. Or if you want to go further, depending on your hamstrings today, you can put the belt or the towel around the ball of the foot. Inhale, look up. Exhale, extend long. Forehead towards the shin. Try to keep the softness in the shoulders. And then inhale, slowly come up and straighten both legs into Tadasana. And then find whatever you need for feet up the wall, or Shavasana, or whatever you want to do to finish. You can put a blanket down, put your feet up the wall, put your feet in a chair, whatever your final pose is you want for Shavasana. And whatever pose you're in, focus on your breath. Imagine your breath being like the wave, like the tide. So as you inhale, it's the tide coming in. As you exhale, the tide flows out. And see if you can feel a little bit of that rhythm, the softness in that rhythm, the ease in that rhythm. And then see if you can feel the softening from the toes, through the feet, through the lower leg, through the knee, through the upper thigh, and really softening into that thigh socket. See if you can really feel how the leg just loops back into that thigh socket and it softens. And then imagine your pelvis like a bowl. So the outer edges are softening, the rim softens, and the contents of the bowl are softening. And then see if you can imagine your rib cage like a bird cage. So when you inhale, the bird's wings open, and when you you exhale, the bird's wings really pull that rib cage down. So when you inhale, the rib cage, the wings open, the ribs. When you exhale, the wings pull and bring that bird cage down. And then softening the collarbone notches, and the collarbones widen out to the tips of the shoulders, and the shoulder blades are softening and moving towards the hips. You can imagine, if it's helpful, that there's a sponge that is between your shoulder blades and your back, and see if you can feel those sponges fill up with water, creating space between the back and the shoulder blades. And then the throat is softening, back of the neck softens and lengthens, base of the head softens, your scalp softens, your forehead widens and softens, your temples are softening. Space between the eyebrows widens and softens. Your eyeballs rest into the eye socket. Your cheeks soften. Your jaw softens. Your chin is softening, and your tongue rests in the lower palate. And then slowly begin to deepen your breath, bringing a little bit of movement into your fingers and toes, hands and feet, reawakening the body. And you can give yourself a nice big stretch, and then roll to your right side and coming up to sitting. Thank you and namaste.